Hello.
Hi, Lauren.
Hi, thanks for setting this up. Do you have the Facebook streaming information still?
Yes, but I haven't started yet. Do you want me to
Yeah, we don't
start?
have to. No, not yet. Just making sure.
Okay.
You
Yeah.
have it. Hi, Amber. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Doing good.
Awesome. Do you need to practice screen sharing, or you got it all figured out by now?
The only thing I do want, because I would like to play a couple of short clips of some videos, so if we can see if the audio works, is that okay?
Yeah,
Okay.
go right ahead.
We'll go for it. All right, where are we? Oops. Oh my gosh. You can hear it?
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect.
Looks and sounds good. Okay.
And so we have an hour, is that right?
Yeah, and you can go shorter or longer, if there's more questions. So however you feel.
Okay. So I don't think this presentation is definitely not going to go a full-blown hour, but so you said we'll be able to see the questions.
Yeah, so if you look down on your screen, there's a little Q&A.
Okay.
Yeah, so people will be typing in questions, and then you can choose to answer them, and you can just hit answer live, and that'll send them a little note saying that you're going to answer on screen.
Okay.
And then you just click done when you're done. So if it's inappropriate or something, delete and ignore.
Okay.
We haven't had anything like that happen, but feel free.
I don't know. I feel like people get an Indian sitting there and they're like, ooh, let me ask all the things I've ever wanted to know. And so that type of stuff, I don't do.
Yeah, we don't need that. There is such a thing as a stupid question, and
yes, there is.
we don't need that.
Okay.
Yeah, so feel free to pick and choose, which ones make sense for you. They cannot have access to audio or video, so nobody's going to be Zoom bombing. And I don't know, is the chat live, BT? Will they be able to chat amongst themselves? BT still there?
Sorry, I was muted.
Will participants be able to use the chat, or are we turning the chat off?
So right now the chat is off for participant. Do you want that on or leave it off?
It's fine.
Okay, perfect. But
Yep.
as panelists, you panelists can chat with each other.
Yeah, that's perfect. So yeah, if you have a technical problem, Amber, you can just send me a quick chat and we can work it out. But things have been going pretty smoothly.
Okay.
And I don't see Bill here yet. So what I'll do is I'll just do a quick intro, introduce you and Bill. I'll shoot it over to Bill to do his quick THS talk, and then we'll hand it over to you and give you the controls. You can share screen and just run it however you want to run it, pretty much.
And then if, let's say there's like not a lot of questions and we're like, 30, 40 minutes in, then all this, and you can see the question and answers too.
Yeah, so I'll just jump in there and just say thank you.
Okay.
And the video will be up for viewing later, and just kind of wrap up and close.
Perfect.
Yeah. All right. Let's see here.
Hey, Lauren, I see a number. I think it's a phone number in the attendees list. Do you recognize that? They have their hand raised. I'm not sure if that's.
I do not know, but I know we're expecting Bill, so it might be him.
Okay, let me unmute him.
Yeah.
Do you hear me?
Hi, is this Bill?
Yeah, but I'm not getting, I'm not tuning in here. Do you see me?
We don't see you. We have only audio.
I don't know how to take care of that. How do I do that?
Are you using a cell phone, I'm assuming?
I'm looking right at my iPad.
Oh,
Okay,
you're on an iPad. It has a phone
Sorry,
number.
excuse me.
You
Just
should
give
be
me a
able-
second. Just give me a second. Let me promote him into a panelist, and then he should be able to turn on his camera. Just 1 second.
Great.
Okay.
And I'm going to rename you too. Okay, Bill?
Here we go.
Yep, there you are. Bill and Amber, do you guys know each other at all?
I don't know.
So Amber is the director of the Puyallup Language School, and she was with
Terrific.
the Puyallup Tribe Preservation Office for many years. And then Bill Barsma, former mayor of Tacoma, and current president of Tacoma Historical Society.
That's right. So Amber, did you appear at the Rotary? Were you there with Mr. Bean?
I was his translator.
And we met because
Okay.
right after the meeting, I introduced myself and I really expressed my gratitude and appreciation for the good work that you did.
Awesome. So
It
yes,
was-
I was like, you look familiar to me. Of course, you're
Yeah.
the mayor, so that's obviously going to make you familiar to me. But I feel like I've seen you in person.
Well, David was a former student of mine at the University of Puget Sound.
Okay, I'm remembering this now. Absolutely.
And
Yep.
I think we were just right outside the building, and I think I introduced myself at the end of the meeting. Anyway,
Yes.
But-
Now
crossed.
I'm remembering all of it.
Okay.
It's all coming back.
Very good. Very good.
Is this a busy time for the school, Amber? Or are you guys keeping up with all the virtual classes? Or
Actually, I don't have anything to do with the school. So we're under the tribal government, the language program, and then we work in partnership with the tribal school.
Mhm.
And actually one of our teachers, I've let them borrow him as a language teacher. And so he's absolutely trying to navigate through all of the Zoom or Microsoft Teams right now.
Oh gosh, yeah, yeah. I know we're all just trying to figure out new and different ways to do this. I was on with my son's teacher. He's in first grade, and a first grader on Teams all day is just brutal.
Yep.
Uh,
I have a first grader too. It's
Oh.
pretty rough. Yeah. Yeah.
what school?
Waller Elementary.
Oh, okay.
And
We're in the Point Defiance one, but
okay.
oh man, you know the struggle though.
Oh yeah.
It is just, I don't know. The teacher said he was learning, so I'm like, well, at least thank God for that, because I didn't think he was. All right, I see a bunch of people have joined us. Hello, participants. We're just going to wait a few more minutes before we start the program, but thank you for joining. My kids found an old eyeliner, so they painted themselves to look like wolves. They're running around the rest of the house. Like, whatever keeps you busy, guys. Like, whatever keeps you busy, guys. Hello, viewers on Facebook. We're going to be starting in just a couple minutes. Thank you for tuning in. You're going to be starting. Bill, we have a Brian Threckles on Facebook who says, awesome, great to see you, Bill. All right, everyone, welcome. Thank you for tuning in to our second virtual Heritage Cafe lecture series. Today we have Amber Hayward. She is the director of the Puyallup Language School. She also worked for the Tribal Historic Preservation Office for many years, and she's going to be talking about the work the school's been doing over the past 6 years to preserve, revitalize, and share the Puyallup language and just preserve that culture for future generations. So I am super excited to hear from her and learn about what they're doing in this community. We also have Dr. Bill Barsma, who is the president of Tacoma Historical Society. This lecture series is put on by the City of Tacoma Historic Preservation Office, as well as Historic Tacoma and Tacoma Historical Society. So I'll turn it over to Bill to say a few words, and then we'll hear from Amber.
Well, thank you very much. And let me just say first off, the Tacoma Historical Society is most pleased indeed to be a sponsor of this very important discussion this evening. Our mission is to make sure that we keep history alive in Tacoma, and a part of that is to remember the culture and language and place that are an important part of our history. And we're going to learn much of that this evening. We're very pleased to be a part of that. Might note just that the Tacoma Historical Society has moved to a new location. We are now at 406 Tacoma Avenue South, not far from Wright Park. And we certainly welcome people to join with us. We're open for limited time because of the pandemic, the challenges of the pandemic. Wednesday through Friday, we're open from 11 to 3. You can call us and check in, and we can make accommodations for you. I might add that our current exhibits, one is entitled Keep Fighting for Dreams That Matter. It's a focus on the history of social justice, some of the key figures that played an important part in that storyline. Billy Frank and Ramona Bennett are two of those champions of social justice that we are recognizing at our exhibit. We also have an exhibit on the history of Tacoma banking. So come on by and check us out if you have the opportunity, or give us a call. We'd love to hear from you. And of course, we're pleased indeed to be a part of the action this evening. Thanks so much.
Awesome. Thank you, Bill. I would be remiss if I did not remember to mention that if you are in Tacoma, we are in the ancestral lands of the Tacoma Puyallup Tribe, and that's something we like to do at the beginning of every city event, just to give that land acknowledgement. Right. And now I will turn it over to Amber. Thank you.
Amber Hayward seed stat, Puyallup Chud, Ati Baraligwoods, Salish Chud, Yaptis Qoyoch, Atis Qoyaligwoods, a Slashel Chud, Ati Salish Ali, Ati Swatufted, Atis Puyallup Pabj, as Qo Atid Bud Bada. Uyayush Chud, to Atis Puyallup Pabj, to a cheat at a Sali Achi Daladub. Tuyayush Chud, Ati Slela Olub Adi. As Qo Asi to Judy Wright, si Lolo Sladai to all Puyallup Pabj. Hi, Uyayush Chud to Atis Yayusari at Twulshootseed, to should chess Atish should Atis Twulshootseed. Good day to you all. My name is Amber Hayward, and I'm a Puyallup tribal member from my father's side. On my mother's side, I'm a Salish tribal member and African American. I live on the Puyallup Reservation with my children, and I've worked for the Puyallup tribe for almost 20 years, formerly in the Historic Preservation Department under the leadership of our tribal elder, Judy Wright. I then have been working in the Historic Preservation Department, or not in Historic Preservation, in the Language Program for the past, I don't know, about 8 years, and as the director for the past 6 years. So I'm just very honored to be able to share a presentation with you all this evening, and I would like to start with a Tulshitsi land acknowledgement, and so I'm going to share my screen. This is also going to serve as an opportunity for you folks to see where this land acknowledgement is at, and also for you to be able to use this land acknowledgement if you so desire. So with that, Ati swatuf to the teeth Puyallup a slash to alturi to hawk.
txʷəlšucid. Ati swatuf to the teeth Puyallup a slash altidisha to alturi to hawk.
It is the land right here that the Puyallup people have lived on since the beginning. This right here,
we work on our ancestral lands. We raise our children who go to school on the land of the Puyallup people.
Hayward,
We acknowledge that the Medicine Creek Treaty was signed for the whites to take our land for their benefit.
Land was assigned to our people. The Caucasians said, "This is your land," and they took that land from us too. Our land was stolen from us. Treaties were broken.
But we are still here today. Our people forage for food and materials, we pick berries, we canoe, we practice our traditional ways, and we speak Twulshutseed.
Just as our ancestors did. We are finished.
So today we are going to start with a language quiz. So how much do you know about the Puyallup tribal language? So you could just answer in your head if you would like. First question, what is the language of the Puyallup tribal people?
And if people do want to answer, there is a Q&A function at the bottom of the screen. You can just type in your answer right there, and Amber can see it.
Absolutely. So here we go. So our tribal language is called Tulshitsi, and our dialect is called Twulshootseed. So here's a little breakdown of the linguistic name for Tulshitsi. So Tulshitsi is the most accepted term in the linguistic community, and this was a term that was coined by linguist Tom Hess, who created our dictionary. What he did was he took the word Tulshitsi and he cut the beginning off of it. The prefix was removed to make the word easier to pronounce for non-Tulshitsi speakers. Our language is also referenced as Puget Salish and Puget Sound Salish. Other tribal name references, so they vary from tribe to tribe, depending on the tribe. And so the first one you see there is Twulshootseed. That goes for the more northern speaking Tulalip, Snohomish, upper north. Twulshootseed usually refers to Muckleshoot and Snoqualmie language. Twulshootseed is usually southern Lushootseed speaking tribes. And then you'll see there where it says tribal names, people put their tribal name and language attached to it. So the Suquamish language is called Txʊəlšucid, Suquamish language. The Nisqually reference their language as Txʊəlšucid, Nisqually language. And Muckleshoot reference themselves as Bachelor, Muckleshoot language. And then we actually have many references to our elders just calling it speaking Indian. So there's many ways that our people reference the language, but it is all one language. What dialect is spoken? The answer is Southern Lushootseed. So we have two predominant dialects in Lushootseed, Northern and Southern, but there actually are many, many other pockets of dialects within the big language groups there. The boundary between the two dialects is roughly the King County lines of North Seattle. Question number 3. What 4 tribes speak our tribal language? Muckleshoot, Skokomish, Snoqualmie, Chehalis, Tulalip, Upper Skagit. So out of that group, Skokomish and Chehalis do not speak Lushootseed. The Northern Lushootseed speaking tribes include Soxswaddle, Stillaguamish, Swinomish, Tulalip, and Upper Skagit. Southern Lushootseed tribes include Muckleshoot, Nisqually, Puyallup, Snoqualmie, Squaxin Island, and Suquamish. And you'll see that our tribes pretty much hug the Puget Sound region. Number 4, what language family does the Puyallup tribal language belong to? The Salishan language family. So we would equate a language family to, let's say, Latin, and then the languages that fall underneath that. So you would have Spanish, French, and Italian. And so with the Salishan language families, there are 23 languages that extend up to Canada, Washington, go all the way through to Montana. And these languages have enough similarities between them that linguists are reasonably sure that these languages share a common ancestral language. And I would also like to clarify, I feel like I hear this quite often, that people outside of the Native community referencing Lushootseed as Salish language, but they're actually 2 different things. So Salish language family is the language family that Lushootseed falls under. And so just again, to clarify, over in Montana, there actually is a tribe that is called the Confederated Salish and Kootenai tribe, and they're on the Flathead Reservation, and it happens to be the tribe that I'm also from. They actually speak Salish, and it's called Salish. So there actually is a tribe called the Salish tribe that actually speaks Salish language. So I just, not to be confused with Lushootseed. So I hope that clarifies a little bit about referencing tribes speaking Salish. Number 5, how many letters are in our alphabet? The answer is 43. That is quite a bit more than the English alphabet. So you'll see lots of characters here that are not in the English alphabet, some that are. We also have a rule, it's 1 letter, 1 sound. So for example, in English, let's see the word church, CH makes a ch sound. In Lushootseed, you'll see the, let's see, 4, 5, 6 letter over, the C with a little V over, it's called C wedge. That one letter makes the sound ch. So for us, we, again, one letter, one sound, and we have multiple letters that are non-English sounds that cannot be represented by the English alphabet. Question number 6, are there any living Puyallup tribal members who speak our language fluently? The answer is no. So the status of Txūlshūtseed, a first language speaker, is a person who fluently spoke the language that was their very first language, and they heard it growing up in their home as well. So presently, we do not have any Puyallup tribal members who are first language speakers. So I cannot speak for other Txūlshūtseed speaking tribes. However, I have not heard of a first language speaker being accessible or available to the community. Now that might be varying health reasons or even just accessibility. So I am not aware of any first language speakers. However, there are many heritage speakers, which means that's somebody that grew up hearing Txūlshūtseed. The English language dominated and English was their first language. However, they were able to understand Txūlshūtseed. They were able to make sounds and they were also able to understand, and some of them were able to speak some Txūlshūtseed, just not fluently. The status of Txūlshūtseed, we have also many audio recordings of actual first language speakers that are, you know, in our collection, and many other Txūlshūtseed speaking tribes have their own personal collections of their speakers as well. There's many documentation on the Txūlshūtseed language and different archives. There is a Txūlshūtseed dictionary that was produced in 1994. That was, again, by Tom Hess, linguist, and he worked with many first language speakers as well. Different Txūlshūtseed speaking tribes have language programs, and they also have teacher certification programs. And just to bring you up to speed, as of today in 2020, the Puyallup Tribal Community now has approximately 100 speakers, when 6 years ago we had 0. So now that is the end of the quiz, and we are going to get into why do we even have a language program? We have a language program because at a point in time in history, we had language loss. Language loss happened because of the influence of European contact in this area, forced assimilation, the Indian boarding schools where children were being taken from their homes and forbidden to speak Txūlshūtseed in these schools. Then you also have fear of using the language after the forced assimilation. After and during the boarding school era, you had children that were afraid to use the language when they returned home and very fearful. And you also had parents fearful that their children would be removed from them if they spoke their tribal language. And so the parents also stopped transmitting the language to their children. And then you have English language domination after that. And so that's how we ended up having language loss in our community. So what can we do to bring our language back is called language revitalization. These are some of the not hard and fast rules, but this is what we have found to be very successful in the past 6 years. Language learning and revitalization has to start with the individual. It can't start with me as a parent saying, I really would like my child to speak the language. Here, teach my kid. It doesn't work that way. It starts with the actual individual. Language use in the home. Now, speaking language in the home is completely vital to revitalization. Just because somebody might speak it at work and they're a language teacher, if they do not speak it in their home, they're not as successful of a speaker as if they did. Transmittal of language to children by parent or guardian. This is also another huge piece. Parents being involved in the language revitalization is, again, very key. Creating a language nest in your home is a physical location and space that does not allow English to contaminate it. The next one is making the decision not to speak English. That is, again, the individual choice saying this language is important to me, I need to speak it, and I'm going to choose not to speak English for these particular things I know how to say in Lushootseed. And the last component there is making the language visible, popular, accessible, and building interest. So all of these things we're going to go over in this presentation up next. The goals of the Puyallup Tribal Language Program is to revitalize the Twulshootseed language in the Puyallup Tribal Community, and this means by producing speakers. Our mission statement also includes the Lushootseed, Dobo, Dob, Kwakwalek, Abalek. Be kind, be helpful, and be sharing to all the people that we serve. This has been, again, an amazing tool to help revitalize our language in our community. Providing services for all types of learners. This is something we've also learned over the years, is we need to produce different types of materials because people learn in all different types of ways. Lastly, they're using Twulshootseed in our daily lives through communication, self-narration, creating a language nest, and speaking language in the home, workplace, and our communities. So now I'm going to get into the Puyallup Tribal Language Program. This is our staff. On the left, we have media and web developer Chris Duenas, who does all of the amazing things that you see out on the internet. Archie Cantrell is our longest teacher that we have in the program. He works at our tribal school, which is called txʷəlšucid. He is a middle school and high school world language teacher. In the middle there, you have Zalmai Uswali Zahir, who is our language consultant. He is the stepson of my great uncle, Don Matheson, who was a Puyallup tribal member. Zeke also spent many, many years teaching the Lushootseed language. He also was taught by first language speakers as well in different areas, Snoqualmie, Muckleshoot, and he spent most of his time with Vi Hilbert, who was an Upper Skagit tribal elder. Next to him, you have Suela Duenas, who is a language teacher as well. He participates in teaching at our tribal school, txʷəlšucid. He does a lot of in-person services. Right now, we obviously cannot do that, but he does. He's our guy who we bounce around the whole reservation to different groups. Next to him, you have Chris Bryden, who is a language teacher as well, and he is our online Lushootseed instructor. He is teaching presently, I feel like 7 or 8 different classes online right now. There is me, I am the program director, and we also have Hope Sandstrom, who is our program coordinator, who puts all of our events together, organizes all of us, and just helps us out in general. This is who we serve. The group that we serve is the Puyallup Tribal Community, and that includes Puyallup tribal members, spouses and parents of tribal members, anybody that works for any of our tribal entities. And so that is our predominant focus group who we serve. That is our priority. Our longest standing partnership has been with txʷəlšucid schools. We have been working with them for the past 6 years with their staff and with the children. We've also been working the same amount of time with Grandview Early Learning Center, which is our tribal daycare, where we also, again, work with staff and we work with the children at the daycare. We've continuously worked with our Puyallup Tribal Community and also our tribal government. That includes our tribal council and our administration. Over the past several years, we had started online tribal community classes. And then now since quarantine, we've definitely boosted those classes up. Originally, our service group only included the Puyallup Tribal Community. So if you were a non-native or somebody outside of our community and wanted to take language classes, we do not have the capacity to service anybody outside of our group. However, just during this quarantine, we have continue to service the Puyallup Tribal Community, and now we have opened up our online classes to other Lushootseed speaking tribes. And so that is our service group, and that's who we serve every single day. Here is a list of some things and services that we provide to the Puyallup Tribal Community, which includes translation requests, material development, which includes documents, signage, posters, flashcards, brochures, audio, and video. We also provide community language classes online. We teach middle school and high school classes at txʷəlšucid School. We model language use in the classrooms, workspaces, and in the home, where this is where we physically go into these spaces and show people how to use Lushootseed. We do language presentations and workshops just like this one here. We do public speaking, we open events, we do informational booths, and before quarantine, we were heavily out in the community servicing our people through traditional storytelling nights and community jams. So I wanted to clarify what we call a speaker. So we do not use the word fluent because it's not possible to be a fluent speaker because we do not have any first language speakers alive anymore. So this is how we produce a speaker in this instance in our the status of Lushootseed. So we produce a speaker by them being able to converse in Twulshootseed, and that is comprehend what others are saying, as well as being able to formulate conversational use of Lushootseed, establishing a language nest in their home, using self-narration of daily activities, and using Lushootseed for at least 1 hour a day. And with these 4 different bullet points, I'm going to go over these in detail right after this slide here. So conversation, we had to begin like what do we even talk about in English? And so what we did was we took that and we turned it into what do you do? What did you do today? Where did you go? Who did you see? You know, what did you buy? And we turned that into some really basic common Lushootseed. And as you can see on the left there, that is something that I do all the time. So if you asked Amber, what did you do today? I would say, O txว์əlšucid, O chad twal te guadalaut, O hoi shi chad ti Avery atiscobo ali, O hoi dalisha chi chad ti amani atislachelada. So I just went through and told you just a couple things that I did today. I will show a quick little video here of some conversation.
Ha slachel twal gulabu de ishan. Artis lachel o tatabugchas. Gwele quaychan. Stab quad so athen. Stab quad so athen. Gwbolchcha. O athen chad ata blank. O athen chad ata blank. Archie, stab quads o athen.
O Asad chad ata bayats. Chris, stab quads o Asad.
O Asad chad ata zabid.
All right, so that's an example of what we call conversing. The next is a language nest, and that's a physical location in your home or a physical space that does not allow English. So this is an example of a bathroom language nest. So you'll see these laminated cards posted up in the bathroom. These are the self-narration activities that fill the language nest with Lushootseed. There also the noun labels and verb labels can be placed in the language nest, and these are all to help understand and to remind us that we need to keep speaking Lushootseed. So I'm going to give a quick video here of what a language nest looks like. As you can see, all the labels everywhere. All right, so I think you get the idea there. That's what a language nest looks like. We usually start in the bathroom. We also have lots of self-narration activities in the kitchen as well, because these are two spaces and places that usually you can have some sort of control over without contaminating it with English. The self-narration, as you saw posted in the language nest, they're about, I don't know, 5 to 10 sentences long of self-narrating what you do, daily activities that you actually do every day. So we usually start off with washing hands, because we really hope people are washing their hands, brushing their teeth. In the kitchen, it might be making coffee or frying an egg. So there's a lot of basics that we have, but we really strongly recommend people not to pick things that they don't do. So if you're not doing it daily, we say, you know, please don't pick that one, because you're not going to pick it up. And so this method is also used, you know, to remove the excuse, well, I don't have anybody to talk to. And so you don't have to rely on anybody else to self-narrate everything that you do. So I'm going to go again, show a quick video of what self-narration looks like.
Koreda chud tisap law, bachishaf chud tisap law, tisap kwasali, o kwasa chud tisap law. Koreda t as kwasap law, koreda chud tea butter. Snachadap chud tea butter, all tea as kwasap law.
All right, and he said he is done, but that's just a very quick example of what self-narration looks like. Now I am going to move on to our website and social media. This is the part where we have to make our language popular and accessible to people. So we have many social media accounts. The ones that we use most frequently would be YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. We also use Snapchat as well. Some posts on Twitter, and we do have lots of audio recordings on our SoundCloud account. The goal of our website is to create a platform for distance learners. We also want Twulshootseed accessible to all different types of people. It's to facilitate language use, and for me, most importantly, it's very well organized and easy to navigate through. The different structure that we have, and I'm actually going to click on the website so you can see that. Our homepage, if you want to just get started, you just go right here. We have about our program, but the most highly trafficked section is the downloads and resources. So if you want to learn Twulshootseed, anybody watching right now, and you're like, where would I even start? Probably send you to the basics. We have the alphabet chart, which you can actually click on and hear the sound. I'm going to pick a non-English sound. Let's go right here.
Glottalized C wedge.
So you can click on these as many times as you like. If you're getting stuck on a certain sound, just keep repeating them over and over. We also have our Twulshootseed alphabet song. We have an alphabet book, and we also have an actually very thorough alphabet pronunciation video as well. It goes over each and every sound, how to make them. So this is a really good starting point if you want to know where to start. There's also many other areas and sections that you could look at for the basics. We have our online class material that again is open to the Puyallup Tribal Community and Twulshootseed speaking tribes. But if you're not in that group and you are really interested in learning Twulshootseed, guess what? We have something for you right here. So this is recorded class videos. So if we're not able to service you and you really want to do it, start going through these online Twulshootseed video classes. And you will see on the right that the attached documents that he's referencing in the video are all located right here. So if you wanted to print these out, start putting them up in your home, eventually he gets to conversation right here. So all of this is here. And then if you feel like you're doing really, really good, there's all these other classes that we leave the materials up for. So if you're just interested in looking at them or really want to try them, like absolutely, please do that. The language nest, I was telling you about filling that with the different self-narration activities are right here. All of these documents are here. They all have audio. Most of them have video as well. The conversation has the different topics, and again, very user-friendly. So for example, what did you eat has the audio right here, the spellings, the sentences, and it also has the video in addition to documents. Some of these have flashcards as well. So that is our website. It's so user-friendly, like I said. There's other things. There's music. We have literacy program. We have fonts and keyboards if you want to type in Twulshootseed. So that is our website. Our social media goals are to establish a relationship with our community, to get as much language out as possible, and to create an interest in our tribal language. Goals also include familiarizing our community with the teachers. So this is where our people, maybe they don't know us, but they feel like they know us through the videos, and we try to put out as much as we can about ourselves and open up our lives to people in our community. This also is to make the language as accessible as possible, meeting the community where they're at. A lot of our initial videos had the Twulshootseed and English in them because our community was not comfortable with full immersion videos. So we found that slowly working our way to less and less English was very helpful for our people. And mostly it's to keep our folks entertained while learning. I will show you a link to where our playlists are. So if you're interested in that, we have a Twulshootseed YouTube page. And if you're like, I really would like to see all these full immersion books, or I would really like to know some phrases, or here's all the conversation videos, we have storytelling night. So this is just a good spot on our playlist if you're wanting to find some focused, material. Before quarantine, we were out in the community often doing community events. And so I would like to go over what we do there. Storytelling night was such a huge success for us. This is where we opened up to our tribal community. We shared our traditional narratives and stories. These are like our creation stories. We did, as you can see in this picture, we had props, we have costumes, we're acting out the story of the characters. We're also doing song and dance. So before the storytelling even begins, each month we open the exact same way. We open with a Twulshootseed prayer. We share songs and dances that are relevant to the story that we are sharing. There's also storytelling protocol of how you are supposed to act and what you are supposed to do when you are listening to a traditional story. You need people's full attention when you are telling a story. If you do not have people's full attention, you should not be sharing a traditional story. So the losab is being still, using all of your senses to listen. The guadzarad is what you have learned, what you've taken away from that story, what that story has shared with you in your life where you're at. Habu is something that you say when you are listening to a traditional story to let the storyteller know that you are listening. We do have time. I got a quick little link here to show you, for example, when we tell the silver salmon story, the song that we use before that is the Salmon Homecoming, which I will show you here. So that's how we open the night with that particular story that we share. While we are telling the story, we tell the story 4 to 5 times because that's traditionally what our elders told us to do. Anytime we tell a traditional story, you have to repeat it 4 to 5 times. The story is told line by line in Twulshootseed and then translated into English. Each time we act it out over and over and over. So we have to act this story out 4 to 5 times. Then when we are finished, we share what people's gudzarad was, what they got from the story. And everybody we open up the floor and they tell us what they learned. And I will show an example of what storytelling night looks like. Oh, let me go back.
Tushachel al tobacco shoes. Touch. There was a little silver standard in the salt water. Flora T-Hedge Squawks. And you heard the big silver standard. Tiles. They must be going to go upriver. Altiskotola in the rivers. Go up. They were together. And they were going to up the river.
So that's just an example of one of the storytelling nights that we did. We also provided monthly Twulshootseed jam sessions that we opened up for our community. We always opened up with a meal. We shared the different Twulshootseed songs that had come to our program and to our community. We had probably about 20 different Twulshootseed songs come to us over the last couple years, and we wanted to share them and explain what the songs were, explain the Twulshootseed words in the song, share the dances, and open up the floor for different teachings. I have a video of that as well. So we do have a video here that is about, it's an hour and 11 minutes long of Puyallup community songs that we are fine to share within our community. So anybody watching can sit here and play this. It is totally fine to listen to these songs. However, if you are going to attempt to use them somewhere, you do need to get permission from the community, from the person who created that song to use that song, to ask permission for that. Let's see, the current service groups that we have and current projects that we have going on. So right now we are heavy on the online Twulshootseed classes. Christopher Bryden is one of our teachers. He is amazing. He again is pumping out like 7 to 8 different classes all week long. It is open up to the Puyallup Tribal Community and Twulshootseed speaking tribes. The curriculum is designed to facilitate speaking, not teaching. It's focused on everyday topics and daily activities. So all of those things that I had gone over previously about conversation, self-narration is what we teach in our online classes. We also presently partner with txʷəlšucid schools. We have been there for 6 years, working from elementary all the way up to now middle school and high school, where the students get credits for Twulshootseed classes. The goal is to increase Twulshootseed use with the students and staff. We've helped to establish a very healthy environment for language to grow and to thrive in our tribal school. This is our teacher, Archie Cantrell. He's actually in the tribal school. We've let the school borrow him. They will be posting for their own language teacher that we hope to have filled this year. But Archie very much loves the children and he loves working with them. Again, he's having to do that through Microsoft Teams right now. But again, he's still enjoying it. And these children, after they go through his class, they are able to read, write, converse, do the self-narration. They can comprehend, they can do storytelling. They MC events at the school, and they can also do canoe journey protocol. We also, Archie Cantrell, who was in that last slide, put this Twulshootseed classroom reference guide together to use in the classroom for Twulshootseed speaking tribal schools. It's a guide. It helps to incorporate all of the materials that he's used throughout the year without having to shuffle through a bunch of papers. We've just put them all into one book. And we are working on a volume 2, which includes lesson plans. And we've already had 2 other tribal schools purchase these books to use in their schools. We also had another huge project finished last year, was our Twulshootseed literacy project. We had a grant and I knew I wanted us to make some books. So these are full immersion books written by the Puyallup Tribal Language Program staff. We commissioned a Puyallup tribal photographer and an illustrator for the books. And we also created videos to accompany them. So if you don't speak Twulshootseed, you're not completely lost. You can still have them and use them.
Nanam tliti chas chacham. Uhuit chas atis nanam tliti chas chacham. Lucy cha chas.
So we have an entire section on YouTube with it. And at the very end of these books, there is an English key. So if, again, you're not completely lost. But this was something we passed out to our tribal members, tribal school, tribal daycare. Lastly, a current project we are working on right now is the Cushman Boarding School and Cushman Indian Hospital video. We are putting this together and we've presented this at different places and spaces over the last couple years. This is a full immersion history video, and it talks about the pre-contact, contact timeline of events that transpired on the Puyallup Reservation and actual stories heard from tribal elders, including one very personal story. And so this project is set to be released on November 1st of this year. So please stay tuned for that. With all of that, we are finished. Are there any questions? So I'm going to stop screen sharing. Hope that worked. Did that work?
Thank you so much for sharing, Amber.
Yes.
That was great. I did have a question just myself, and then I'll read you some from the Facebook page. But since you said that you can't be fluent, is it possible to use the language every day for everything, including modern things like computers and all of that?
Absolutely. Yep. So our language consultant, oh boy, sorry, my lights just went. Okay, well, I hope you guys can see me. Our language consultant, he's able to do that all day long. And we've pushed ourselves to the point where we can also do as much as we can by the time we wake up to the time we go to bed. There are some things that we just don't have words for, but we also have created newology, which does describe, computers, cell phones, the different things that we have now. So in order for a language to evolve and move forward, you have to create new words for things.
Wow, and who's responsible for that creation? Language experts, or how do you decide?
Our linguists are Zalmai Zahir. And so what we have issues with a lot of times is our English brains, right? English is our first language. And so we want to force English onto the Twulshootseed, but that's not how our tribal language works. So he's there to remind us, let's see. Sapwas lach debut means computer. And so that is by means of remembering. And so we have to describe things as if they were have a Tshūtseed brain on. I hope that makes sense. But yeah, we have to describe things.
Mhm.
Usually our words describe something.
That's really interesting. So we do have a question from one of our viewers. If the Salish language family corresponds to the Romance language family, like Latin, is it also part of a larger language group as the Romance family is part of the Indo-European language group?
So I use the Latin example because I think people can relate to that and understand that. So you have this umbrella, and then you have languages that fall underneath it. And if you speak, Spanish and Italian, there's a lot of similarities in the grammar, even some of the sounds, some of the words are the same as well. And so Salish is the same thing. It's the umbrella, and then you have all these languages underneath it. So I can give an example in my mom's language, which is Salish. The word for mom is skoy. In Tshūtseed, in my dad's language, the word for mom is skoy. So, you see what I mean? So it's all under that umbrella, and there can absolutely be similarities. And I also took a Salish class during the summer, and there's again, the word for I or me in Tshūtseed is chud. In Salish, it's chun. So a lot of times our B's and D's or M's and N's got switched for B's and D's, but over in Montana, they were able to hold on to their M's and N's. As over here in Tshūtseed, they were not. They were influenced by English. And so I hope that's helpful for people. And again, I know it's confusing because there's actually a Salish language, and then you have the Salish language family that Salish falls under. So yeah, I hope that was helpful.
It's just fascinating, I think. How are the youth open to that? Are they pretty excited about it, or are they kind of like, old stuff?
So I think it's really cool because nobody in our office really grew up with Tshūtseed outside of one person. They heard their grandpa speaking it. And so all of us are adult first language speakers. We just heard little words here and there in our community. And so we're all adult language learners. And now for the past 6 years, all of our children have just come along with us. And so if you ask my 6-year-old son about Tshūtseed, he's like, yeah, that's normal. I hear it all the time. I've heard it since I was a baby, So for our kids, they aren't going to know a time when they didn't have Tshūtseed. For my 13-year-old, he was about like 8 years old when we started this. Again, it's become so normal for him. And now we've created a community of about 100 speakers to where these kids are just used to it now. And so I think that's really amazing. And at our tribal school, again, we've created a really healthy space for kids and staff that it's very, very normal. And we're trying to spread that out to different places and spaces in our community. So it's not just kids, it's everybody. It's adults, it's people that aren't Indian and they're on a reservation and they see Tshūtseed signs, or they hear people at the gas station speaking Tshūtseed. So that's really the ultimate goal, is a part of revitalization is having it be a normal thing. So if you go to Mexico, you're probably going to hear Spanish. You're probably going to see signs that are written in Spanish, and you're probably going to hear people speaking Spanish, right? So we just really hope that people are able to come to our reservation to recognize that they are on tribal lands, and also that they come onto our lands and they could be expected to speak Tshūtseed.
That's so important. How do the elders feel about this? So my dad is from Mexico, and I did not learn Spanish as a child because of what you said. Immigrants weren't encouraged to speak their language. They were encouraged only to speak English. So do the elders feel comfortable, or what's their sort of impression?
It is really hard to work with adults because of that initial slide I went over, the language loss. Many of our elders remember that time where their parents were forbidden to speak the language, or they would refuse to transmit the language to them because they didn't want their kids to be taken away. So there's absolutely some negative, really negative and sad and hurtful feelings that come from our elders in hearing or wanting to learn the Txʊwəlšucid language. I feel like we've also, again, with our mission statement to be kind, be helpful, and be sharing, we just love on everybody. We try our best to make people feel good, even if there is some other type of feeling that they're having. And so we've absolutely seen our elders, you know, transform, and they're so joyful to hear the language. Some participate with us. Some elders have their own grandchildren that are speaking the language, and it's making them so joyful. So yeah, I get this all part of making it a healthy environment.
So why was it important? Was it, it sounds like it was sort of a younger generation movement and not from the elders to kind of revitalize the language. And why was that important to the generation?
I think it just organically happened. I just happened to be that way. The two people in our office was me and Chris Duenas, who he's in his 30s. I was in my 30s at the time. And then we got a couple more positions open and a couple more 30-year-olds, 20-year-olds. And it's, I think we were attracting a certain age group. And so our entire office is under 40 years old. And so naturally, we're going to want to make materials that appeal to us. And then obviously our demographic on social media and the website is 18 to 40-year-olds. So I mean, it's working because, you know, that's who's getting drawn to us in that way, really organically.
Great. And so, can you see what effect this has had on the community or on your culture? Has that brought people together, or?
It's the most amazing effect that I have ever witnessed in the tribe, like, honestly.
Wow.
It is just the most beautiful thing to be able to hear our language, for people to have joy. Again, like last year before quarantine, language was heard at pretty much every single tribal event. We were able to go into like government spaces and open up in Txʊwəlšucid, or our council members are speaking Txʊwəlšucid when they go back to Washington, D.C. You know, like I said, any event we have, Txʊwəlšucid is there, and it's just really, really amazing. And so the thing we hear most is our tribal members really miss our storytelling nights coming together during that time, and it was about an hour and a half long event. But that's something we just miss. We miss singing, we miss being together, we miss hearing the language.
Yeah, just that clip you showed us was really beautiful to hear. So I mean, I think we don't have any more other questions, it looks like. I see people just saying thank you on Facebook and that it was really fascinating. I guess one wrap-up question I have is, do you want people outside of the Puyallup community to use the language or hear the language or share the language, or is this something you really want to keep for the Puyallup community?
That's a really good question, and I thank you for asking that. So anything and everything that we put out on the internet is for people to access, and that's anybody. We would love for non-natives to speak our language on our reservation. Absolutely, like absolutely 100%. So that example I said, when you go to another country, you're expected to speak their language, right? Or to understand or to know. We absolutely want that. We would love for, you know, people in our community to embrace our language. And there's other groups that would probably not agree with us. But that's probably the fastest way a language is going to die, is if you restrict it to certain people. Now, there's absolutely things that we don't have on the internet that are not for non-natives, and we're not going to put it on the internet because it's not for other people. So we don't even need to worry about that because we're not putting it out there.
Perfect. Makes it easy.
Yeah, but if we restricted, let's say at our tribal school, if we said only Puyallup tribal members are allowed to speak Txʊwəlšucid, most of our staff is not Puyallup. So our kids are not going to sit there and be able to hear our language, right? So we open it up to the teachers who are non-native, and they have really taken a hold of it and are using our language in the classroom with our children all day long. So that's a win. Like that's a win-win. That's absolutely what we want.
Absolutely. And in the Historic Preservation Office here, we have been involved with some of the renamings, the Fishing Wars Memorial Bridge, and then I believe one of the Tide Flats parks. And so is that something that's really important too, is renaming things?
Oh, absolutely. That's, again, another part of language revitalization for sure. And we, Yabok Ali is the name of the bridge, and we were happy to be able to offer a name for that. That means a place of a fight. City of Tacoma folks, if you're hopefully listening and watching, we've been meeting with them for a couple years about street signs in Lushootseed on Portland Avenue. So I would absolutely love to keep that rolling. I'm super happy to be a part of, you know, different namings across Tacoma. But again, it's if we have the time and the capacity to do that type of work, which right now we do have time for it because we're working from home. So
as a non-native, I think that it's so important to see those names out and about, because I think then you can really see, you know, who this land really belonged to and their impact on it, because we don't have that built environment that we have, you know, with historic buildings and things. So just to me, I love seeing the signs and the names out there. Actually, I see a few questions coming in the Q&A, so if you want to take a look, Amber, and
oh, sure,
you can answer those.
All right, I see. Is there a word or phrase for thank you in Lushootseed that you could teach us tonight? Absolutely. So it's a little more complicated than thank you, but it's a good one. So to a woman, you would say he squo, he squo. To a man, you would say hey Shabbat, hey Shabbat. To a group of people, you could say hawatub shalap, hawatub shalap. That means thank you to all of you folks. And then a really nice thing that we like to say is askwadi tubushidchas, askwadi tubushidchas. We are praisingly grateful to you.
Thank you. There's another question on Facebook, and it's just kind of I'll summarize, it's pretty long. How are new words created for modern life and things that did not exist pre-contact? So I don't know if there's a formula for how you create new words.
Yeah, so for like newology, I'm trying to think of some new, oh, okay. Somebody just asked us how you say water pick. Because it's one of our Lushootseed teachers, and we were doing like a brushing teeth self-narration, and they said, well, my student has a water pick. How would you say that? And so it means to spray teeth. That's the word he came up with. It literally means to spray teeth. So we Lushootseed really just use descriptive ways to describe things, to name different things. So there's hard times where we don't have, like, somebody, how do you say pizza?
Yeah.
So we're like, I don't, so we just don't, we don't. So we'll say, oh, ashlichad at pizza. I ate pizza.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I feel like people hear that in other languages too. Like if maybe Spanish speakers, you hear them kind of bounce back and forth between Spanish and English because, you know, maybe they just prefer that English word. So there is a lot of times where we still use the English word. We just plug it in because we've, you know, try to figure out what we're going to call pizza. Something round, like, I don't know, but there's a lot of things that are round. So we just don't have a word for pizza. So that's how we do it. We describe the thing, or we just insert the English.
That's interesting. And I'm assuming it was an oral tradition, the Puyallup language. So are you writing things down now? Is there like a official dictionary?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yep. So everything was oral. Then we had linguists and anthropologists come in and start writing down the language. Some of the old anthropologists use different writing systems, and they tried to use English letters to describe the Lushootseed characters, and it just wasn't working because they're not English sounds. And so our Lushootseed speaking elders worked with Tom Hess, our linguist, and they came up with an alphabet that they all agreed upon. And they said, do not change this alphabet. And so that's what they used. They were able to read it, to write with it. They taught with it. That's how our language consultant learned from a first language speaker in Muckleshoot, and she taught him how to read it and write it. So
Wow. Awesome. So I see one more question here, and it says, please let us know how we can help support your work and rename sites. So I don't know, is there something you want the broader community to be aware of and help you with, people who are not part of the Puyallup community?
I would absolutely love to talk to anybody out there, out and about. If you have funding or you want to donate, we absolutely have ideas that we would love to get our language out in the greater Tacoma area. So just recently we purchased 5 different styles of yard signs that are all in Tulshitsi that were, the artwork was done by Puyallup and Salish community members, and they have Tulshitsi on them. And so we are going to tag up Tacoma with those signs, and we're also going to pass them out. So if you'd like to stay tuned on our social media sites, you know, please check that out. But if you would like to help, just go on our website and learn our language. If you want to give financial support, please do that. Like, we can absolutely spend your money, you know. And if you are working, use your influences, use your spaces that you are in. If you people aren't doing land acknowledgements, do them, right? Say we're on the land of the Puyallup people. If you want to incorporate Tulshitsi into your workspace and not just like a one-time thing, say you have, you know, like work brochures or your website and you want Tulshitsi on it, come and talk to us. That continues to help broaden, you know, the awareness that, you know, we are Puyallup people, we have a language we are speaking, we're here, and that you're supporting us. So there's all kinds of ways that you could help. I just really would hope it's not a lot of work for me, you know, like some huge requests that we can't, you know, fill. And can you transcribe these, you know, this chapter of English for something? You know, we're probably not going to do that, you know, but just little things that I can get to where we absolutely can work with folks outside of our community on.
Awesome, thank you. And speaking from the preservation office, we would love to share, you know, any history. I share all your posts, all the historic preservation posts. So, you know, without making more work for you, we want to be able to get the awareness out there. I don't see any more questions. So do you have anything else for us? I want to just say thank you so much. We really appreciate it. And I think this is very important information to get out there.
Well, thank you guys very much for having me. Raising my hands to each and every one of you.
All right. Good night and thank you.
Boy.